For nearly a decade, Auto Truck East Africa Limited has been revolutionizing the electric vehicle landscape in Kenya. Kenneth Guantai and his team retrofit two-wheelers, three-wheelers known as tuk-tuks, and four-wheelers in the new, clean, affordable vehicles. But the work extends far beyond a car, and through their franchise model, they are building an electric charging network, and through their leasing model, anyone, anywhere can access a vehicle. They are bringing manufacturing to Africa, shifting the landscape of internal combustion engines, or traditional cars, that has persisted for more than a century. And special thank you to Rebecca Chepkemoi, a former YCS Climate Chat guest, who is the head of digital marketing services at Auto Truck East Africa. Thank you for her for helping set up this conversation with Kenneth. Enjoy the conversation. Good afternoon, Kenneth. So as we start this meeting, we're going to mostly talk about your company, Auto Truck East Africa Limited. But first, what should we know about you to help understand your company and what you're going to tell us about today?
My name is Kenneth Guantai. I'm the CEO and the founder of Auto Truck East Africa Limited. I founded the company Auto Truck East Africa in the year 2015 to take part in the local manufacturing of two and three-wheelers. The three-wheelers are commonly known as tuk-tuk in Kenya, and which are normally used for last mile connectivity and for taxi services. Also, we have more than 2 million operating motorbikes, conventional motorbike in the economy, and the Auto Truck now is intending to convert those 2.3 million motorbike into electric motorbike. The reason being is that these type of vehicles, of course, as you know, contribute to high carbon emission in our environment. And there's, I suppose, a serious problem in our cities, and there is need to transition to a more eco-friendly e-mobility products. And that's why we intended we can be able to do either local assembly of two and three-wheelers. We can be able to do local manufacturing of two and three-wheelers. And we can also be able to do what we call retrofitting of the existing two and three-wheelers from EVs to ICEs. On top of that, as a company, we decided to also venture into the rollout of charging infrastructure. And this charging infrastructure is not just a charging infrastructure, but it is also an hybrid of the national green and also the solar energy. In areas where, for instance, in the rural areas where we don't have enough power, we can supplement the charging infrastructure with solar power, so that those people in those rural areas where cannot be able to access power can be able to charge using solar energy, which is installed in those solarized shells. The other thing is that we also realize there's a challenge with the battery. And therefore, we develop partnership with the European countries to locally assemble lithium-ion battery for application in e-mobility, especially in swapping station, and also for application in renewable energy. You realize even the charging shed or the charging infrastructure we are talking about, they will require storage batteries for that charging power. And therefore, that's why we thought by doing a local assembling of this lithium-ion battery, we will be able to satisfy the Kenyan market with the battery, as well as export to other African countries, which are already adopting the e-mobility space. The business model that we decided to use is a franchise model. And a franchise model is whereby, for instance, in Kenya, we have 4 major cities. In these 4 major cities, we have 4 major franchises or super dealers. And these super dealers have region within those cities. And after the super dealers, we have the sub dealers who are stationed in counties. And then below the sub dealers who are placed in the counties, we have what we call sub counties. And the sub counties are small towns within the counties. And then we have ward. And the ward is small marketplaces and the town in the villages. And therefore, the super franchise who is on the top is able to bring even to the component for charging is able to bring this component in large scale because they must be well endowed, they are financially stable. They can be able to bring, if it is electric motorbike, in containers. They can also be able to set up proper charging infrastructure. And when it comes to down one franchise, it means if I'm in accounting, I can be able to develop, to recruit other super engines who are in the sub-county to develop the franchise. And these now sub-counties will be able to develop agents who can be able at least to put up a one charging station in a ward. Then if you consider the whole structure, it means you can be able to spread the charging infrastructure in the country without our company Autotrack necessarily developing this charging infrastructure. This charging infrastructure will be owned by other people in a franchise model. Just the way we have Java. Java is a franchise. But you don't, the owner of the Java does not go out putting up all those Java shops. They are owned by others, but he controls the franchise himself. That's the model that we're intending to do. And on top of that, now we partnered with a company that is doing data technology so that using this franchise model, we can be able also to sell internet to the communities around those places so that they can be able to transit. If it is payment through using these electric vehicles, they can be able to use a card to pay. If it is battery swapping, they can be able to swap a battery using a card. If it is communication with their client or customer, they can be able to communicate easily because they have free internet. Therefore, the whole ecosystem revolving around that, digital technology and green technology supplement each other so that we can be able not only to get these people get their money through e-mobility, but also through selling of internet data to the communities where they operate from. So in a nutshell, that is what Autotrack is doing in the country and hoping to scale up the same in other African countries because we are also operating in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
That sounds excellent, especially how, so you mentioned you have that whole ecosystem you're building. You're using the electric vehicles themselves. You're also establishing the infrastructure and the internet to go with that. So I love that model, those three kind of pillars you have that all come together. So I am interested in asking about franchising, but before we talk about that real quick, you mentioned obtaining these lithium ion batteries, especially through partnerships with European countries. In terms of, I suppose, the battery size or power, what's sort of the difference when you're powering a two-wheel vehicle, like a motorcycle, and a three-wheel vehicle, like a tuk-tuk? What's the size difference and the requirements for the battery?
As I said earlier, in the franchise model, we are also partnering with other stakeholders who are doing manufacturing of these electric vehicles. For instance, if you talk of electric motorcycles, we decided that because people require a different model of motorbike, they are not fixed to one model of a motorbike, we cannot be able to manufacture ourselves all these electric motorbike in different models. So the best model then is once we develop the franchise, we also develop partnership with other companies that are manufacturing these electric motorbike. And they tell them, yes, you're manufacturing this model of a motorbike. We have an infrastructure. You don't need to come to Kenya and start now laying down a charging infrastructure. Or what you need to do is land on our infrastructure so that you can be able to deploy your products across the market. By so doing, if you are using a particular type of battery, it means then you will come with your swapping machine and station it in our charging infrastructure. Another person come with another model and they have their own technology, maybe the battery and the swapping machine and everything. They also come, we accommodate them in our infrastructure. If it is a tuk-tuk, for instance, the same. We partner with a company that is doing manufacturing of tuk-tuk in Europe. They come, we negotiate the markup between our company and theirs, and then they use our infrastructure to roll out their product, both the spare part and the component distribution, charging infrastructure for their technology and everything. By so doing, we are able to accommodate through our franchise model all the type of manufacturers and their type of vehicle they are manufactured. And then they make us now a distribution channel for part and the component for these electric vehicles, which will be distributed again through the franchise model all the way to the local villages.
Okay, I think that makes sense too. So each of these franchises is using, you're building kind of the base, you're building the infrastructure, you're supplying the internet, but then the franchises work on their own. And I mean, I suppose they're still paying you, but they kind of work on their own and can kind of build sort of around one model.
I think the other benefit of the franchising model that we are using is the ability even to attract the donor funding, not on donor funding, investors to come and fund, more specifically the conversion, for instance, the conversion of the 2 and the 3-wheeler from ICE to EVs. By so doing with those franchise model, we also partner with microfinances, whereby they are able to station their microfinance bank in those franchise setup, so that anyone who doesn't have money to buy an electric vehicle, or even to have one converted from ICE to electric, they can be able to give them money easily from wherever they are across the country. So basically, the ecosystem incorporates everyone, including the financiers, the bank, the microfinance, the investors, who can come and say, now, landing on the charging infrastructure we have, we can be able to set up maybe renewable energy, whereby all the shell, all the charging infrastructure, we will install the solar for charging. Another one will come and say, we will install the storage facility, that is the battery, or either mini grid or even single phase use for this charging infrastructure. So the ecosystem allows the incorporation of all stakeholders who are dealing with e-mobility, digital economy, financing, so that we can be able to penetrate the market faster than any company coming and trying to develop their own infrastructure, the way you see Tesla used to do, whereby they come with their own charging infrastructure. At the same, they are concentrating on the product. There's a limitation in that, because it means if I don't use your charger, for instance, I cannot buy your vehicle. Or rather, if I buy your vehicle, I only need to use it with your charger. For us, we are saying no. Let's have different type of technologies. We even customize the charger in a manner that anyone can come and, just like a petrol station, get in, park and charge, or park and swap, then you leave. So we are developing an ecosystem that is easily scalable in every part of Africa and even across the world.
Yeah, I think that really makes sense. Like you said, you have the potential to scale so much faster and grow. So,
Yeah.
and it sounds like a nice business model too. Like it's more customer friendly as well. You mentioned you're also helping people if they can't afford an electric vehicle, you're helping them to at least purchase the initial one. Um, yeah, I love that model. In terms of how long have you been using a franchise model? Has that been around since you were founded, or is that kind of a newer model you've decided to use?
I think when it comes to that, although we know there are several other competitors using several other different models, the reason why our model, if I have handled well, is more affordable than what we really have in the market is the flexibility that we have for our potential customers to choose which model to buy. In a franchise model, we are not limiting them to a particular type of a product. We are telling them, look, we have different suppliers within our franchise model. You choose whether you are buying a motorbike from Germany, you are buying a motorbike from South Africa, you are buying a motorbike from China. We have all that, and the prices vary. And even some of the suppliers of these motorbike or tuk-tuk or other electric vehicles are coming up with different financing models. Someone will tell you, we will sell you the product minus the battery. We own the battery. But as you use the battery, you lease it per day. So you pay for that inventory per day.
For
Or
example.
even then you buy the vehicle, the motorbike together with the battery, you pay a certain deposit, then the remainder balance you pay as you use the vehicle. Because most of the users of this kind of vehicles are using them for commercial purposes. They are making money with it. It means if I buy a motorbike and I'm going to do taxi services with it, I'm able to buy on a certain deposit, then pay the remainder of the money as I do the business every day. The beauty with this is if you compare the amount of money they make when they are using an electric motorbike, for instance, and what they were making when they were using fuel motorbike, they are saving a lot, almost 70% saving.
Wow.
Because maybe the cost of a charge per day is 100 shillings or 150 shillings, but they were fueling this motorbike at as far as more than $10 a day. So it means they are saving almost 70%. Now they can take half of even this 70% saving and they pay daily for this commodity. So they are able to purchase these products by necessarily not buying cash, but paying as you use to own, or pay as you use to own. Because finally, as after you complete payment, you own the product. So that's the model that we are rolling out. And that's why we are getting even investors to come and invest in the rollout of the infrastructure, because the more you do the infrastructure, the more you encourage people that once you buy this vehicle, you cannot drive a long distance before you find somewhere either to swap or somewhere to charge or somewhere to have your products repair and maintain if it break down.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense too. A 70% saving is crazy. That's amazing. You can give that to the customers as well. So you're getting the environmental benefits, of course, with electric, but also the savings. So, on speaking on that too, you had mentioned something earlier about ride sharing. Can we talk about that real fast? How would ride sharing work with your company, where I suppose there would be one vehicle, but multiple customers could use it. So I use it this time, and then when I don't need it later, someone else can use it. Is ride sharing something your company is pursuing?
I think, as I said earlier, that's why we are considering for France's model, because someone can be able to even have a company within the France's model to lease these vehicles out without buying, where you come, you pick the vehicle, you use depending on wherever you are going to use it, then either you return it after a week or a day, depending on the agreement between the franchise owner and you. And this is already happening in the country, whereby some, like when it comes to electric truck, someone may tell you, I don't want to buy this electric truck, but I want to use it maybe for a week, and they pay for a week. Then if I need it for another week, I will still release it for another week and use it. So leasing, as I said, is also one of the model, one of the revenue stream that our franchise dealers are using for those who cannot be able to pay, or for those who are not buying them completely. And this model has been widely used by Tesla, where they release the cars to people who want to use it maybe for an event, or want to use it maybe for a month or one day, and that is acceptable. But when it comes to commercial vehicles like 2 and 3 wheelers, you realize most people want to own them because they don't want their business to be distracted. They want to do business every day. But there are those again who cannot afford, and they want to come and this work with it for a day, pay for that day. If they are able to come tomorrow again, they come, they pay, they use it to either carry passengers or luggages and all that. They pay again. Yes, the model is also highly usable in Kenya, but it can depend on which market segment you are targeting on that.
I've never heard of a model like that. That's very cool. I mean, I've heard of franchising, but that's really ingenious. They can use it for as long as they need, just a couple days. So that's a really cool model. I hope it goes far. What's the success been so far? You've been around, has it been since 2015, I read? Was it,
Sorry, I haven't heard that.
was your company founded in 2015?
Yes.
So, what has your success been in the last 8 years? Have you seen kind of an adoption of more electric vehicles? And I suppose what is the scale of infrastructure you've built so far?
Yes, when I started, in fact, I started with, I didn't start with an electric two or three wheeler. I started with an electric handicap. I
Oh,
didn't have a lot of knowledge of even the space that I'm entering in because by that year 2015, not many companies were talking about e-mobility transition
not
apart
at all.
from Tesla. But along the way, as I got a lot of training, both in Kenya, in the United Kingdom, whereby I was selected, for instance, by the Royal Academy of Engineering, and I was taken through an intensive training. The project started aligning itself with the climate action and the SDG 13 on issues to do with the carbon emission and all that. And that is when I realized, oh, so there is an e-mobility project across the world that I can really tap in. So I diversified my project from an electric handicap to an electric tuk-tuk, whereby I manufactured the fact electric six-seater electric tuk-tuk in the year 2017, which was widely broadcast by both local and international media. And from there now, I was able to win several international awards, which supported my work. And I was able now to diversify, also to start doing conversion, the retrofitting of the motorbike that we have in the country, whereby our company buy the kit, the conversion kit from China. Then we remove the engine of the tuk-tuk and the two-wheeler and replace it now with the EV kit. And then once we sell, we install the charging infrastructure to those users who have already done the conversion. So basically, the project has evolved from that time, 2015, to today, to where now I've been able to be licensed as a motor vehicle assembler, meaning I can be able to assemble any type of vehicle anytime, whether it is
Oh,
two, three, or even four wheelers. And that is why I'm able to partner with the companies like Andimira Energy, which you already know was formed in the US in the 1924,
oh wow.
started the technology of doing the television, the fringe. They finally partnered with Hitachi, then finally partnered with Injiri from China, and another company called Parizon, from China again. They're one of the largest electric motor vehicle manufacturers in China. So our company has already formed a partnership with them to assemble the electric four wheelers, that is the electric van, electric buses, and electric truck in the entire African market. So that's how the company has evolved. And I can say we have gained a lot of experience in the field of e-mobility. We have been doing a lot of training until 2 months ago when we are able to partner with Kandap World, which is doing digital technology in partnership with Privateer of Apple. Privateer of Apple has given us an exclusive mandate to sell internet in the entire African continent.
Jeez.
That's why for any franchise owner that partner with us, we are giving them 10 Gbps of internet to distribute to the shop around where our charging infrastructure is so that we can supplement the income they make from e-mobility with the income from data technology. So basically that is what we are doing. We are recruiting franchise as you speak. We are doing training right from the super dealer franchise all the way to the agent level franchise.
Yeah, thank you so much. That I think really helps clarify your story, seeing it from the beginning. And in terms of you mentioned you sell so many different vehicles, the motorcycles all the way to a tuk-tuk and sometimes four-wheelers. What is your most popular vehicle to sell?
Uh, as you are aware, our president is very passionate about electric vehicles and the climate action in general. Therefore, our target, as I've said, is the two, three, and the four wheelers. For the two wheelers, we are partnered with the circles that operate this type of two wheelers so that we can be able to convert and also sell new electric motorbike for their members through SACCOs. We have also done so where we are partnered with three-wheeler operators, SACCOs, so that we can be able to either locally manufacture this tuk-tuk based on what type of model they want. We customize them based on the customer need. And also now we are partnered with the Handimiro Energy from Dubai to assemble, not to manufacture, but to assemble the four-wheeler, that is the van, the buses, and the truck. As you are already aware, we have a matatu sector in Kenya, which is very vibrant. So that's why we decided we can be able to assemble these electric buses for them for use in the matatu operation, and also for taxi services, for airport, and also for schools in our country. But we realize the best thing to do is assemble, because we can be able to assemble based on demand and also based on the need. Because as you are aware, this is a new frontier, this is a new technology, and you really need to move with this slowly as it evolves. And I can assure you in Kenya, the upsurge of e-mobility is becoming so wide, and the government itself has created a task force to look into the e-mobility sector, for the transition to e-mobility sector. The president has formed a task force that is incorporating all the stakeholders from the Kenya Revenue Authority to the Kenyan Bureau of Standards to all the stakeholders, the Ministry of Transport, so they can holistically look into the adoption of EVs into the country. By so doing, they are able to know, for instance, how to subsidize power to power electric vehicles, how also to remove taxes on the import of the component to assemble locally for EVs. All these things have been happening, and I do believe the president will be able to launch that task force in January, so that now all the policies can be put in place for the adoption of EVs in Kenya. So what I can say is that since when we started, for instance, we are able to have converted more than 500 motorbike in Kenya alone.
Wow.
In Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, we have converted more than 200 motorbike with the support of UN and a program called Solution Plus program, which was formed to help in transition of e-mobility across the globe, where our company was selected in a competitive manner to do the conversion of motorbike in tuk-tuk in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, and also manufacturing of new tuk-tuk in Tanzania, a project that we have done successfully, and the government of Tanzania is now hoping to support us to roll out in the entire Tanzanian economy. So basically, that is what we are doing. Currently, as we are talking to you, I was writing an order to Handimiro Energy for the electric buses that have been ordered. We have more than 70 electric buses pre-orders.
Wow.
But in the country, we have a deficit of more than 500 electric buses for matatu operation, which need to be rolled out. We already have a company called Busgo, which is rolling out electric buses in our cities, and they have a deficit of more than 500 buses, which we are hoping to assemble for them so that they can be able to roll out to the economy.
Yeah, that's so critical. I love that. So you have 70 buses, you said, pre-ordered already?
Yes, sorry.
You have 70 buses pre-ordered that you're going to manufacture?
For the battery, what we have done is we were waiting to see the type of the vehicles that are already being introduced into the economy, so that once we partner with, there's a company called One Energy, company from the US, which is doing batteries for Tesla. And I think they have also been doing assembly of batteries for Apple for application in computers and the rest. And now the agreement is that we stand in the market and they start assembling of these batteries depending on the demand that we are getting in the entire African market. So we are in the process of developing the documentation and they're doing the feasibility study on the same, so that by maybe May this year, we will have started assembling of these batteries locally for the entire African market.
Okay, thank you. I think that really clarifies the scope of your company, kind of what you're trying to. I think it really clarifies your mission. You know, your goal overall is not just to convert some vehicles, but to convert, like you said, entire fleets so that these buses, even students ride on the school, can be electric as well. So I think that mission is really noble. Yeah, it sounds excellent too with the franchising, how it's not just your company, I suppose, trying to grow. It's you're helping everyone else as well. So it sounds excellent how you're helping others. As we kind of wrap up here, and you can feel free to take a moment to think about this question. It's kind of hard, I feel like, to single answer, but you've done so much work in the past 8 years with this, and I'm sure before then, what would be your single piece of advice to anybody else trying to start in the climate area? So whether they are in electric vehicles or something else related to climate or the environment like that.
I think what we are doing on that is that we are doing massive partnership with the local universities and the TVET so that we can be able to sensitize people through training. Because as you may be aware, and what I've been saying even in different forums is that the presumption that we have for e-mobility is that even the mechanic that we have are conversant with the electric vehicles, which is a no. They are not conversant with the technology in e-mobility. They are conversant with the technology in conventional vehicles, the fossil fuel vehicles. So what happened? If you buy, for instance, an electric car from Tesla and bring it into the market and it will break down, you take it to the local mechanic. They cannot be able to know where the problem is because the technology they are used to is different from what they are being given to repair. In fact, some of them are surprised what kind of a vehicle it is, the local mechanic. So
Mhm.
basically, what we are doing as an auto truck is we have realized there is a gap there. And therefore, we are partnering with universities and the TVET at the Technical Training Institute so that they can start now training another crop of new mechanics who are conversant with e-mobility. So that even as the number of these vehicles increase in the economy, or rather in Africa, they are able to repair and maintain them. And by so doing, it means then you have to also incorporate a curriculum on e-mobility within the normal training curriculum in this institution. So basically what we are doing is that we are supporting the government in advocating for all these aspects, technology transfer, whereby for those partners we are partnering with who are bringing this technology, we tell them the first condition is to bring someone to train our people on the technology you are bringing. You cannot bring a battery, then you fail to bring someone to train on how this battery is maintained, or rather, how can we even be able to recycle this battery after their lifespan. If you bring a bus, for instance, an electric bus, for instance, you also need to bring someone to show people if this bus breaks down, this is how it can be repaired. You understand that? So by so doing, we are able to bring an holistic approach to e-mobility, not only on technology transfer, but also on the local production of part and the components, simple part and the component that can be manufactured locally. They can come and manufacture them there because I don't anticipate, even if I'm using an electric vehicle and maybe an electrifier malfunction, I need to wait for an electrifier for an entire 3 months to come from Europe to Kenya so that my vehicle can go back on the street. No,
Mhm.
this simple component can actually be manufactured here. So what we are telling these people, yes, bring the technology, but show us how we can be able to sustain this technology ourselves by bringing technology that can be replicated in the country locally. You get this. If that's why I told even the one that are manufacturing battery, we cannot keep on buying battery from Europe. Yet Africa is the one that is doing production of lithium ion battery. Why don't you do validation of this lithium ion ore and then at least assemble these batteries here so that if I need this battery, I get it tomorrow. and replace the depleted one. So I think that's why, in my view, this is what really needs to be done by us Africans, from South Africa to Nigeria to Kenya. This is what we really need to do, so that when these other players in e-mobility are making a step, we African are also making a single step, no matter how small it is. We don't want to be left behind the way we are left with the conventional vehicles, that we could not even have a single country in Africa manufacturing these vehicles. For us, at least, now that this is a new frontier, when they make a step, we make us a half a step. And that's why I'm very keen to tell them, no, look here, I may not be able to manufacture completely from scratch, but I can be able to assemble. So give me an opportunity at least to assemble, so that our people can learn what is in these vehicles. They can learn, if these vehicles were assembled here, what does each of the part and the component entails. And by so doing, we will not be left behind the way we are left with the conventional vehicles.
Yeah. So you're training, I like that. You're training everyone. You said from the mechanics, and you're bringing all the infrastructure and the building and the assembly to you, in these countries, Tanzania, Kenya. Yeah. I don't know. I'm really intrigued by that mission. It's amazing, and I'm hoping to follow your company more. I'll certainly, through this page, hopefully advertise your company and at least get it known. Like, your model is so unique. It seems like how you're franchising, but then you're also training everybody. So you're using education to train everybody, so you get everyone. And like you mentioned, it makes it easier for the customer too. If the customer does to wait 3 months to get a battery, they can get it instantaneously. It just makes it so much easier for everyone. So I really appreciate that model. It sounds like you're gonna make a big change, and you already have. So thank you, Kenneth, so much, um, for joining us today. I know you mentioned you were working a little bit before this, so I hope that goes well. And I hope to follow and, keep in contact about what your company does.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. And I do believe we, as How to Track, are available to partner with everyone across the globe, you included, so that we can be able to advocate for this transition to e-mobility to keep our cities safe. The other day I was in Cape Town, South Africa, and I realized how clean it is, and the people, different companies are making some step there to transition to e-mobility. And I do believe this is what we really want, to hold each other hand, partnership, so that we can be able to walk this journey together. I really thank you, and I really appreciate for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.